And hello, Righteous Man Feareth no evil here. I hope everybody's doing well on this Tuesday. We're about to get into the video, but I just wanted to have a little introduction and talk with you just for a minute before we do that. And I do appreciate you watching, and I appreciate the comments and the subs. As we know, my channel is new, and I'm trying to build it up when I have the time to do it. But basically, what this is all about is this coming September 23rd, being Revelations 12, specifically 1 through 3, verses 1 through 3. But I just wanted to say something about that before I debunk it, because this is a false theory, and it can be proven or shown to anyone who wants to know all truth. Also, I wanted to real fast talk about my thoughts on the eclipse and what happened. There was a lot of claims that were made, right? They also try to use a reference, Joel 2 verse 31, the moon turns to blood and the sun to sackcloth, and they were trying to put things in with that, everything from a rapture to the end of the world. Also, I've seen videos with people talking about how it's like when nothing really happened on the day of the Great American Eclipse, but the time between there and September 23rd, oh boy, you better be ready, okay? False again. Also, what I think is funny, especially with the eclipse, is it seems like only the American eclipse are the ones that match up with the Bible. It wouldn't matter if several months ago that there was the same type of eclipse over Europe, other parts of the country. Those don't matter. Just the ones in America, right? Just my opinion. But that's not what this video is about, in that I just wanted to say that because it kind of, it correlates with what I'm trying to talk about here when it comes to what? Yeah, Revelations 12 and September the 23rd. Because I know guys, that people want Jesus to come back, and I want Jesus to come back too, okay? But I have a daily relationship with the Trinity, for one. Two, I want the Holy Spirit to guide me into all truth, so I know what's going on and I'm not having illusions or false hopes, okay? And so I just think that's real important for us to have a relationship with him at this point, regardless of what's going on, just because. But as far as the times go, yes, like I mentioned in a video before, that technically as soon as Jesus ascended, we were in the last times, but I do believe we are in a specific part of the end times as we speak. Also, I'm not going to get into it. But I do want to do a video on pre-trib and how this is not biblical. And so we want Jesus to come back, but we have to be prepared for the events to come before Jesus comes back. Okay? And so that being said, I had something to show you real fast to bring up 2 points that I hope you keep in your mind as I go through the video. Hope you can see this okay. First part, because we're in reference to Revelations 12, 1 through 3. If the woman in verse 1 is a constellation, then the red dragon is a constellation as well. Also, Revelations 15:1 would mean that it's a constellation as well. Also, this means that God's angels are fighting constellations. Okay, guys? So just remember that here for a couple minutes from now. Also, it's like this, before I show you the second part. Pretty simple, okay? I'm no theologian, but I can use common sense and apply it to Revelations. And I can tell that Revelations is in chronological order, with certain parts of it being a summarization, a reflection, okay? And this is also what scholars believe. But anyways, all I'm saying is that if you believe any part of Revelations, then you have to believe all of Revelations, just like the Bible, right? If you believe one part of it, you got to believe all of it. And that being said, okay, check this out. Little timeline here, okay? Tribulation starts with chapter 6, we know in Revelations, and it ends with war. This is the halfway point right there. Now, if September the 23rd of 2017 is Revelations 12, then that means we are right mid-halfway point of tribulations. That means we would be in tribulations right now, the halfway point, the midpoint, coming up in a few weeks. Not the case, guys. But what we see is we see people taking a few verses out of the Bible, in this instance matching it up with Stellarium software, and now they've got the end of the world, a rapture, proving it's mid-tribulations or whatever. But it goes a little more in depth, which I'm about to get into. So at this point, we're going to get into the video. And I hope that you enjoy it, and thank you for watching, and it won't take that long. Alrighty, and we are recording, so here we go with this part of the video. This is my explanation of Revelations 12, like I was talking about in September 23rd. If you're interested in looking into this subject more, I suggest this one link. It's pretty cool, Life, Hope, and Truth. Who are the woman, the child, and the dragon in Revelations 12? I like what they said because it goes with what I was saying. I just noticed about right here. It says this book is primarily written in chronological style with occasional breaks for overviews of specific subjects. Got a pretty cool link right here. May want to check that out. But that reminds me, I was going to show you something real fast right here. It's a little note I made for myself. Brief outline of Revelations. And I just kind of put down all the little steps. Starts off with the messages to the church, and John is called up to the throne room. But down here, this is coming right up to chapter 12 right here. And it says that the two witnesses move into action for 3.5 years. Okay, let's not forget about the two witnesses. And it goes back to what I said. If you believe one part of the Bible, you got to believe it all. Okay, now we know that the two witnesses, they're not active right now. Okay, so this in itself, from that perspective of truth, debunks September 23rd and chapter 12. But just like I have here, let's see, that happens right before chapter 12. Then what we got the 7 trumpet sounds, and then we have chapter 12, which is a reflection of Jesus coming to and leaving earth, and the chosen one going to God and his throne. Okay, maybe we'll come back to this because then it explains about how the dragon gets kicked out, and then he wages war on the brethren, right? Okay, so anyways, that's back up. What I wanted to do real quick, like I said, was explain the woman and the child and the dragon. The woman is, and if you cross-reference this information, you'll see that it is legit. It represents Old Testament Israel, is actually what the woman represents. And I know some of this may be boring as compared to the excitement of some of the videos that people do with the eye candy and the drama. But this is just breaking it down in real truth. So you have it that it represents Old Testament Israel. Okay, and then also the 12 stars that are on her head may be symbolic of the 12 tribes of Israel. But someone could argue that because they could say, well, it says maybe, so let's just keep going then. Also, I wanted to bring up the fact that we know that Old Israel and God's church sometimes is known as what? A woman. Just like there's quite a few verses, but like there's one right here, I believe. Yeah, Revelations 19:7. For the wedding of the Lamb has come, and his bride has made herself ready. Okay, anyways, back. So we know that this is what God says sometimes pertaining to women, Israel, and his church. Okay, now the child obviously is Jesus. Okay. And it says, and her child was caught up to God and his throne. So Jesus comes to earth. He comes back to be with his Father and on his throne. And then a male child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. Indeed, Christ was born into this nation, into the Israel nation. Also, the dragon we know it's not the first time that Satan has been called the dragon. The dragon represents that old serpent called the devil and Satan, okay? So I wanted to show you that real quick, and then we'll hop on to the next thing. I wanted to come over here, and let's just read. Usually, I prefer KJV, but this is the easy read, so I'll just do the NIV, okay? And it says, a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head, and she was pregnant, okay? So far we have the woman, okay, which is Old Testament Israel, giving birth, which was to Jesus. And then we have the red dragon, which is Satan right here. But if we look down, and then, right here. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter. And her child was snatched up to God and to his throne. Then the woman fled. She flees into the wilderness. Okay. Then we know that the war breaks out in heaven. Okay. Michael and his angels fight against the dragon. The dragon, he obviously doesn't win. He gets kicked out. And it says that old devil or Satan who leads the whole world astray, he was hurled to the earth and his angels with him. Now, if we come down here, because this is like, a lot of people know this verse, it's a very powerful verse. And I do believe that this verse pertains to very possibly this generation, or my generation, coming up with the times that we are in. But it says that they triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. And they did not love their life so much as to shrink from death, or as unto death. Therefore rejoice, you heavens, and you who dwell in them. But woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has gone down to you. He is filled with fury, because he knows that his time is short. Okay, and we're all in chapter 12 here. Remember that. And when it says, when the dragon saw that he had been hurled to the earth, he pursued the woman who had given birth to the male child. Okay, right in that sentence, we have Satan, and we have Israel, God's Israel, and then the woman that gave birth to Jesus, I suppose, will be part of that too. And then the male child, which is Jesus, okay? And then down here at the very end, what does it say? It says, then the dragon was enraged at the woman, and went off to wage war against the rest of her offspring, those who keep God's commands and hold fast their testimony about Jesus. Okay? So we know that these are the brethren, okay? Or also could be the chosen ones. Okay? The dragon, devil, he attacks the rest of the offspring because they're the chosen ones. He couldn't stop the chosen one, which is Jesus. So he wages war with the chosen ones. It says in the Bible that many are called and few are chosen. If you ever wondered what that meant, basically God in his all-knowing knowledge chose these ones because he knew that they would choose to serve him to their last dying breath, and especially during this time all the way up to Revelations 12, which would be what? About mid-tribulation. Okay. So that being said, also we want to remember that Satan, the dragon, hates our guts because we're made in the image of God, and because we have the potential through the Trinity to be greater than he is. But also I wanted to bring up that when it comes into the astrology and the constellations, I'm not going to get into the constellation argument. One perspective of that is the astrology. There's multiple times in the Bible. Deuteronomy is against it. Jeremiah 10:2 is against astrology. The alignments of the constellations and the planets, there's Jeremiah 10:2, so you might want to look these up too, are against these things, because when you are looking at constellations and bodies and movements and all this, that is actually a form of worship. because you're not having all your attention. Look up what worship means, and then you'll see that that is a form of worship because you don't have your eyes on God. And so that's one perspective, one thing that I wanted to bring up. And also I wanted to show you guys this guy. Let's see, where'd he go? Right here. But also I wanted to tell you too that another reason why I'm not going to argue this is because I'm not impressed with looking at the Stellarium software and declaring biblical events. I just don't see it that way, and so I'm trying to present this to you. But while I was looking this information up and trying to come up with a debunk basically for Revelations 12 and September 23rd, I fell across this guy here, Joel Richardson. Let's see, I like this guy. I just fell across him. I don't know anything about him other than this. But this is called The False Sign of September 23rd, 2017. I do know this much, guys. Right here, we've got 186 comments, okay? And I actually sat and went through all of them because I got hooked. I kind of went on a binge. And I went through, and I would have to say I am impressed because some people were giving him praise or whatever, telling him he did a good job. A lot of people are attacking him, telling him he doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't, that, September 23rd is the rapture and all this or that. But he rebuttals it all. He's got concrete evidence. And if you are interested in that perspective of it, you could just look up this guy right here, Joel Richardson, and Underground episode 65. The False Sign of September 23rd, 2017. He goes on, within these comments, he goes on to talk about how Jupiter is not in Virgo for 9 months, and that it is wrong to say that Leo becomes a crown at this time in history, and the moon is not clothing the woman on the 23rd either. So, obviously, if you go through his website, or you could even leave a comment and ask him, and he will show you how you can look those things up I just mentioned. Yeah, he's a pretty cool guy, and I liked what he did there. Pretty good deal for me it was, as I was trying to put all this together in some type of an outline that wouldn't take too long and show you guys. And last but not least, I wanted to come over here and show you this. This is a YouTube video, D-Wave, decoding the 4096 key with Anthony Patch. There should be an H right there, but anyways. But I thought it was interesting because I guess what it is here, about 47 minutes into it, for about 10 minutes, they go in to talk about Revelations 12, September 23rd, and remember, Satan copies Jesus, okay? And basically, they're showing that a God will be birthed on 9/23, and how there's a connection to that to CERN, D-Wave, and the 4096 key. So I thought that was pretty interesting because that shows how Satan is copying Jesus, because that also proves my point that Revelations 12 is a reflection and summary of Jesus, of what happened before humans were even on the planet, right up to the second coming, a general reflection. Which, when you think about it, it being in that part of the Bible, and 12 makes perfect sense to show a reflection and a summary of everything at this point, and then go on down. Because it's like right here at 15. So the dragon has much wrath, for his time is short, and he makes war with the chosen ones, because he could not stop the chosen one, Jesus. Ends chapter 12. And then what happens? See, we've got the beast out of the sea, beast out of the earth. John sees the 144,000, and so on and so on. It goes down into the second coming of Christ down here. And then right as that happens, we know that Satan is bound for 1,000 years. And then he gets back out. And then finally, at the very end, we live and serve our God forever with Jesus as our light. And there is no more night or evil, which is going to be super awesome, guys. And so I just encourage you to look up some information, look up Revelations, and check out some of these links that I just showed you right here. Life, Hope, and Truth, Revelations 12, the woman, the child, and the dragon. Remember, the woman was Old Testament Israel. The child was Jesus. The dragon was Satan. And then we looked over here and we went down. We read all of chapter 12 and what was going on. Matched it up with my little timeline notes that I showed you. We saw how the Old Testament Israel and God's church can be shown as a bride and as a woman. We saw that astrology and when you look at constellations, the way that people are to get future predictions, that is astrology, and God is not cool with that, guys, because you got all kinds of verses here that talk about that. Okay, and then we hopped over to Joel Richardson, so remember him. You could look him up. And the false sign of September 23rd, 2017 for more in-depth questions. A whole bunch of information here. Good stuff. And then all the way over to the devil being a copycat and what CERN and D-Wave and decoding 4096 is all about on that 23rd of September. And Revelations 12, because we know that Revelations 12 is what? It is a reflection, a summarization of our King. And so that's about it, guys. I appreciate you watching. I'm about to get started on another video. It's going to be about the armor of God, and I think you guys will like it. But I appreciate you watching, and God bless. And remember, the righteous man feareth no evil.